So good morning, everyone. Now, on behalf of the WBC RRI Net project and University of Banja Luka, I welcome you to the Mutual Learning event, Implementing Open Science and Research Ethic, Sharing Experience of Beyond, ROSiE, VERITY, and WBC RRI Net projects. I thank the speakers for accepting the invite and the participants for registering for the event. I'm also delighted that we came up with the event title in a collaborative manner. As the title suggests, the event is all about sharing experiences, of designing activities, of developing interventions, of sharing the research outputs to strengthen research integrity and ethics and open science by our esteemed representatives of 4 EU projects. And I will be expanding on the acronyms of Beyond Bad Apples towards a behavioral and evidence-based approach to promote research ethics and research integrity in Europe. We have Responsible Open Science in Europe, ROSiE, VERITY, which is developing scientific research with ethics and integrity, and WBC RRI Net, embedding responsible research and innovation in Western Balkan countries, enhancement of self-sustaining research and innovation ecosystem. I know RRI is now kind of not the contemporary term. So without further ado, I now introduce the first speaker, Angela Pepic from University of Banja Luka, Bosnia and Herzegovina. She's the head of the Center for Development Research Support at the university. She's also assistant professor at the Sociology Department, Faculty of Political Sciences. Angela has 15 years of experience in research management and administration, first at the University of Sarajevo, where she was the coordinator of the Regional Research Promotion Program in the Western Balkans in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And then she continued this role at the University of Banja Luka from 2014. She is a co-group member of the Best Prac thematic group within European Association of Research Managers and Administrators. Angela is also the president of the advisory board for gender equality at the University of Banja Luka and was deeply engaged in the development of the first gender equality plan at her institution. She will present University of Banja Luka's efforts within the WBC Net projects to integrate ethics and research integrity in curriculum and the various policy influencing activities that they have done at the regional level. She will also discuss the various initiatives completed with students to make science grounded in the local communities. So all to you now, Angela.
Thank you, Indrani, and good morning to everyone, or good day from my side as well. Since Indrani has perfectly presented me, I will not take further of your time, and I will start to share my presentation. So hopefully it will work out this time. So I hope you see it now. Okay, so what I will speak about today is not just about the WBC RRI Net as a whole project, but also about the so-called anchor activities in the territory in focus in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Is the territory of Republic of Srpska entity. So a bit about the project. So Indrani already mentioned that it's embedding RRI in Western Balkan countries, focusing on boosting R&I in the WBC by adopting a sustainable development framework, which is based on the responsible research and innovation principles at the local level. Thus, our focus on specific territories. So as you see at this photo on my right-hand side, is the focus on the territory of autonomous province of Vojvodina in Serbia with specific RRI keys engaged, public engagement and open access. In Republic of Srpska, it's ethics and science education and open access, which I will talk about later. And in Montenegro, as the country as a whole, we have focus on public engagement and governance. And in Albania, we have a specific focus on Kunevantail Lagoon wetland ecosystem, focusing on engaging RRI keys such as public engagement and open science and governance. And in North Macedonia, in the city of Skopje planning region, the focus is mostly on science education and gender equality. What do we want to do? We want to enhance R&I planning through also embedding our efforts in either the smart specialization development process or in implementation process in the Western Balkans, but also informing different R&I policies within the region to address its needs. And we want to do that through open dialogue, creation of regional network, and helping the WBC contribute to a goal of borderless, and a single European research area. Our coordinator is the University of Novi Sad and Professor Goran Stojanovic and his team, and we have 13 participants from 8 countries. So how do we do it? We have a regional focus, which is more on the on specific working groups. One focusing on gender and ethics, the other one on science education and public engagement, and the third one on open science and open access. And you will be able to kind of browse through all these working groups based on the presentation that will be shared out with you afterwards after this event. We also have, as I mentioned, these anchor activities in specific territories that I already mentioned, and we have open dialogue and mutual learning events, one of which is this one that we are having today. So we have already series of events that were organized on a regional level as well with the work of these working groups, and more will come until the end of February when our project actually ends next year. So speaking of the anchor in Republic of Srpska, I want to just share with you how we got to the particular activities, and we did it through the co-design process, where our starting point was actually something that we envisaged within the proposal itself. And it was actually the promotion of research ethics awareness and training in science, education, and open access and open science in Republic of Srpska. So what we actually did, we first mapped the different stakeholders, practices, and initiatives and policies in the territory and also regionally in order to kind of get the grasp of what is going on and in order not to double the efforts. And then we engaged in 2 co-design workshops with different stakeholders from the region, which actually helped us to kind of draft the document, which was then open for consultations with our stakeholders. A document containing particular, first of all, vision, what do we want to achieve, the goals, and also the activities through which we want to do that. So what did we envisage? We kind of envisaged some, let's say, ROSiE, not the project ROSiE scenario, which was focusing on time for R&I and STI to flourish, in order to, with the vision to transform the institutional practices, to embrace inclusive science education, integrating gender as a cross-cutting issue, and also to embed the RRI keys into different strategic documents, particularly into the smart specialization strategy of the Republic of Srpska, which is still in the process of development. So we set together with our stakeholders, so not alone, different goals, 5 of them actually, which you see on this slide, which I will not read, and focusing on tailor-made codes and ethics standards, also improving teaching approaches for more gender, also inclusive STEAM education, and also improving our open access digital repository, but also communicating with different research funding organizations and their funding schemes to kind of embed the RRI as their funding criteria, and also to embed it in the process of smart specialization strategy. So these are the co-designed activities, which I just mentioned. So I will focus now on the first one related to the ethics. So what we actually did, we tried to see at the University of Banja Luka who is among the academic staff in particular already kind of trying to do something and trying to promote the academic integrity through either practical or theoretical approaches. So we kind of gathered through this community of practice for academic integrity at the University of Banja Luka, which is a group of interested people wanting to work on promoting ethical standards and doing some research also on existing practices. And also based on the research, we are now in process of developing specific guidelines for students on academic integrity. And we also developed a video for students on academic integrity that is played to all students at the University of Banja Luka at their first classes. At the beginning of the year. We also engaged in different events focusing on academic integrity, either organized it by ourselves or co-organized it with different other actors, like UNESCO office in Bosnia and Herzegovina recently. So we had a focus on using of artificial intelligence, large language models in teaching and education, and ethical aspects of its use. And we also are now in parallel collaborating with the European Network of Academic Integrity, but also having internal, let's say, discussions on how to improve the institutional policies and practices. Speaking of our second co-designed activity, which is focusing on improving the STEAM education, what we did, and that was based on the needs, let's say, expressed through the co-design process as well by the teachers from different secondary schools in Republic of Srpska, we actually developed a manual for STEAM educators on the introduction of RORiE in the teaching process, with the 5 topics, as you see listed here on the screen, which is in local language. And this was something that was actually asked for by our stakeholders, to have something in the local language, not just in English. And the focus was actually more on the applicable side of RORiE through the process of teaching in different scientific disciplines. But also what we did throughout the process, we kind of tried to have this more, let's say, engaging moment where, for example, the title page of the cover page of the manual was actually developed based by the student of our Academy of Arts here at the University of Banja Luka. Actually, it was an internal competition for students of the graphical design. So where we tried to engage all the students into developing the manual. And then the first prize or first award was actually engagement to produce this cover page and also to design the entire manual, which is available also on WBCRI.net webpage, and in some future time we might be even considering that we could do the translation into other languages if needed. So now only the teachers from let's say Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia, Montenegro, and Croatia can clearly understand the language and also use it. So it's not just for our local purposes. And another thing that we then decided to do in order to make it easier for use for our secondary school teachers, for whom this manual is also designed, is to develop videos per each chapter that are practical use of each chapter, and they will soon be published also at both WBCRI.net and other platforms, so it will be free to share. And I think that the translation and the AI for translation will work on that case perfectly. So what we also did is the collaboration with the UNDP Bosnia and Herzegovina, so United Nations Development Program, together through their platform on open innovations, which is a more or less local platform. We developed the joint competition. It's an ideathon, innovative ideas for a better quality of life, which was also supported by our Ministry for Scientific and Technological Development here in the Republic of Srpska, which provided the prizes for students, and also the Ministry of Education and Culture of the Republic of Srpska, who gave the endorsement for organizing this ideathon. And the focus was on waste management, digital solutions for a better quality of life, and also smart ideas for climate problems, with a particular emphasis of using the RORiE. And also we explained it in the call, what the RORiE is, what they need to do, and how to kind of develop their ideas and solutions by using the RORiE principles and approaches. And it was designed for teams of secondary school students from the entire Republic of Srpska. So in this way, we wanted to also engage students who would be guided by their mentors from their schools to kind of think about how to improve our quality of life. And then this event actually that I will focus now, the Science with and for Youth, which was organized through the WBCRI-Net, but it was also an opportunity to award the prizes for the 3 winning teams from this ideathon, and gathering them together with other students and both from secondary schools and the university students from across the Western Balkan regions to exchange their ideas, to present their ideas, to pitch their ideas as well. And then we organized also a workshop focusing on, and it was a mutual learning and open dialogue workshop, focusing on perspectives on RRI and their use in STEAM. So our colleague Dalibor Dedića from our partnering organization, HRTD cluster, has also facilitated this workshop, which ended with 10 recommendations for more inclusive and improved STEAM education, which were coming as a genuine, let's say, expression and concern by the students and professors and all the other participants from civil society, from academia across the region. So that was a collaborative action. And these are the 10 recommendations that are also published on our website on how to engage and support female students in STEAM more. So one is to break the stereotypes during the teaching by promoting the best examples and practices, create tasks for groups of students and pupils of mixed gender, dedicate more time and efforts in working with female students and pupils that show the interest in STEAM, and also encourage female students and pupils that they can do anything, and collaborate with parents, which is, this was a kind of let's say, a really innovative approach, collaborate with parents on development of interest for talented students and pupils in STEAM. And that's more into this first 2 activities. Now, regarding the open access and promoting open science in general, so not just open access, in Republic of Srpska, so what we did, we've kind of focused more on upgrading our own repository. So why did we do it? Because we had at the University of Banja Luka 4 different, let's say, repositories or data, not just, they were not all repositories, some of them were just databases with different publications, starting from scientific publications by our staff, projects, list of doctoral and master theses, and so on and so forth. So what we did, we tried to upgrade the repository in order to make a single entry point that will actually fulfill all the standards in order to make this a trustworthy repository of publications. So now we have a single entry point called pub.unibile.org, and this is how it looks. So that was also done by our small team from the University of Banja Luka WBCRI-Net team. And then the 4th and 5th one were done in a really good collaboration with our partner organization, HRTD cluster, on embedding RRI in funding schemes and also in S3 process. So what we did, we had workshops with the relevant ministries that resulted actually in some of the, let's say, policies and guidelines by the different ministries and calls for funding schemes being adjusted, or including, for example, open science or gender and science education as part of the funding criteria of these different ministries, which is something that, at least in this country, is sometimes really difficult to achieve, because the structures tend to be rigid and bureaucratized. So when you have this kind of change, at least one criteria to be included, that's a success. And what we also recently had is the joint event on S3 and RRI that was organized together with the S3 coordinating body in Republic of Srpska, which is the Ministry for Scientific and Technological Development and Higher Education of Republic of Srpska. So that will be in brief from me, and for the challenges that we had, and we had a lot of them, and the ways how we kind of mitigated them, we can discuss later during the Q&A session. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Angela, for the very interesting presentation, and the way you decided to write in the proposal stage was work together so that you don't reinvent the wheel was very interesting for me, because we tend to do a lot of repeat work. And also that personally for me, and I hope others will, the digital repository was very interesting, because as you said, the systems are bureaucratic and rigid in many universities. So hats off to you for implementing that. Now I will introduce Professor Erika Lofstrom, who will be presenting the Beyond Bad Apples project. She's a professor of education at the University of Helsinki, Faculty of Educational Sciences, and director of the International Master's Program, Changing Education, a primary teacher education program, which is very interesting, actually. Her research areas include research ethics and integrity and related learning and supervision processes, as well as academic writing and supervision. She teaches research ethics and integrity to undergrad, grad, and doctoral students, as well as faculty and experts in these areas. Erika has been a long-time chair, 2010 to 2021, of the Non-Medical Ethics Review Board at the University of Helsinki. She was the a board member of the Academy of Finland from 2019 and 2021, and member and vice chair of the Finnish National Board on Research Integrity, 2016 to 2022. She currently chairs the Ethics Expert Board at her university and advises the university leadership on ethics matter. So Erika will discuss the approach adopted by Beyond to fulfill the project objectives and the learning from the project till now. To you, Erika, now.
Thank you for the kind introduction. I hope you can see my slides. Yes. Also thank you for the opportunity to join this event and talk a bit about the Beyond project. Unfortunately, the coordinator of the Beyond project, Rose Burnaby, was not able to join us, so I'm doing my best to substitute her on this task. So I hope I can give a full picture of the Beyond project, and if there are any questions that I'm not able to answer, I'm sure we can get back to those and check with Rose. And also I want to point out that there is another Beyond member here among the audience, and also a speaker, Signe Mesinska. So please also, Signe, feel free to complement my talk if I'm missing important points. So Beyond, for short, stands for a very long name, but I think the first part, Beyond Bad Apples, kind of tells a lot about the idea that we are trying to work with in this project. And I'll talk about that in just a moment. So here you can see the number of partners and who they are and from which countries. So it's a very big project, and we have all kinds of partners. We have university partners. We have also ethics committee network, UREC. We have also integrity office partners, and then we have the Embassy of Good Science, which is, I guess, a kind of a network or platform, really. So platform partner, if you will. So the composition of this consortium is very multifaceted in that sense. Okay, and here you can see again the partners, but also the connections to different actors in the field of research ethics and research integrity. And I think all of this kind of helps us to connect Beyond project to work done in other projects and by other actors in the field before us, because I think that is also important that we build on the understanding already created. There have been many really fine projects before, beyond, and also currently ongoing, as this event also shows. So I think it's important that we are able to connect the work done in the project to the work that others do. And we have a very close connection, for instance, to, like, of course, the Embassy of Good Science is a project partner, but we also have a close connection to ENERI, which was the project of 3 European networks, EUREC, ENRIO, and ALIA, All European Academies. So we're trying to sort of bring together these different actors and networks in a comprehensive way. And because it's a large consortium, we kind of have a good opportunity to bring together these different actors. So why beyond? And here we get to the bad apples. So a common idea that comes across in many regulations and guidelines has been that research misconduct is the result of the bad apples, individuals who've sort of gone bad, whose ideas and practices are misguided in some way. So then the responsibility lies on the individual, really. But through the Beyond project, we want to shift this focus to look at the research landscape, research ethics, research integrity landscape in a more holistic way, in a systems perspective. So issues with research misconduct are not addressed by removing a few bad apples, a few individuals, because also there is an understanding that these really bad research misconduct cases are not so common, but more common are those sort of iffy practices in the gray zone. Those are much more common than the really, really bad cases. So if we focus just on individuals and the really, really bad cases, then a lot of the things actually happening are left beyond our scope of focus. So this is why we want to turn the focus to looking at systems, not individuals, and to look at research practices in a broader scale, not just the really, really worst cases. Also, there is quite a lot of reliance on whistleblowers to detect research misconduct, and this is also part of what Beyond tries to address, to sort of shift the focus from those individuals. So not just individuals doing the worst research ethical misconduct, but also shift away focus from individuals having to do the detection and whistleblowing, and again the idea of looking more into what organizations, research performing organizations, and other stakeholders in the field of research and science can do in order to maintain high standards of ethics and integrity. Okay, so this is pretty much the same idea in this slide, that we are kind of trying to address the research ecosystem and shifting away the focus from individuals to organizations and stakeholders. And we do this by different means. So we are looking into supervision. We also develop materials for that. Training, we are developing materials for that. And also policy. We are working with policy, how to influence policy guidelines, mutual learning exercises. We are also sharing good practices. We have public consultations, and that is something that Signe is leading that part. So we are trying to also use tools with which we can bring attention to organizations and stakeholders rather than working with the actual single individual. So in that sense, we try to be aligned in our practices in the project with the message that we want to bring across. Of course, we still have a lot of work to do. Beyond is in its 11th or 12th month. So we are just about to reach the age of 1 year. It's a 3-year project, and so we still have a lot of work to do. Okay, maybe I'll just go a little faster here. So so what we are doing is that we explore and advance individual and institutional responsibilities, and I'd place the emphasis here really on institutional responsibilities in research misconduct and in the promotion of research ethics and research integrity. And our keywords in a way in how we do this are to engage, guide, and to equip. So the products that we create in this project are related to engaging researchers and research organizations to guide and also to give tools to in the future work with and address issues around research ethics and research integrity. And here you can see an outline of the work packages. So we have 6 work packages. The first one is related to identifying behavioral knowledge and needs through a state-of-the-art review. And this is to a large extent, to my understanding, already done this review part. And for instance, the work package that I'm leading, which is work package 4, we were able to identify what kind of measures are usually used for determining effects of research ethics and integrity trainings. So after a systematic review, we were able to pinpoint that really self-report measures are most commonly used. And we know from prior research that self-reports can be quite unreliable, but so we wanted to test that how does this self-report as a measure of training effectiveness work in the context of research ethics and research integrity. And we've done research on that, which we have presented at the NREO conference in Paris and also already published a piece. And so that's just from the work package 4 point of view, but it was really, really helpful to do this exercise of the systematic review, because now we understand better how the training effects actually are measured and how we can work with measurement using the kind of measures that are already used a lot. So we, as we know that training effectiveness is already measured with quite a lot with self-reports, then we have been also developing a format for self-reports which can be considered reliable. So we already also got some other ideas from this review on how we can develop measurements for training effectiveness, because I think this is also an important part for organizations as they do work to tackle issues with research misconduct. Training is, of course, one of the key measures. And so if training is developed, we also need to understand how that training works, and because it doesn't necessarily automatically carry into better research practices, but how do we actually know that the trainings work, and how can we follow up the effects of the training in a long-term perspective? So we have gotten very much input from this review, and I'm sure that also other work packages have gotten a lot of input for their further work. So what I've just explained is mostly from the perspective of work package 4, because this is what I know the best. Okay, and then we have bottom-up and solution-oriented public consultations. And it is possible that Signe might want to say a couple of words about that. In fact, maybe Signe, do you want to say something now?
I just might use time for some advertising because if you go to our webpage, then you will immediately on the first page find our public consultation survey, which includes both quantitative and open questions. And we are really inviting you to fill it in. You can choose, it might be very fast if you just fill in the quantitative questions, but you are more than welcome also to write your experiences. There is a lot of space for that, and we will really evaluate this part of open answers. And there are different groups invited to fill in the questionnaire. It's one part is for researchers, one part is for students, and one part is for general public. At the beginning, everyone will be asked who you are. If you are a researcher, you will be sent to that part, etc. So we really look forward to inputs and public views and researchers' views on research ethics and misconduct. So that's it.
Thank you, Signe. And maybe if you have the link handy, maybe you can place it in the chat if you. Yes, all right. So please do take part in the public consultation. And also then we have our colleagues from Tartu University's leading work package 3, which is about designing and testing psychologically informed interventions. So they are developing a specific method for an intervention method really for addressing research misconduct. And again, here with an institutional responsibility perspective, in addition to the person-centered or individual perspective. And then the fourth work package, which I've talked a bit about already. So this is about developing methodologies to measure short, medium, and long-term impact of research ethics and integrity trainings. And also, we're working on a best practice manual and guidelines that supplement standard operating procedures and also a roadmap for creating or developing research ethics and integrity cultures. So again, there is the idea of a kind of systems perspective on how to promote good practice. And then we have a work package with which produces training materials. I realized that we have one missing actually from this table. So I think we have now 7 work packages. So we also have one for dissemination activities. Okay, so and there you see our key activities: engaging, exploring, guiding, and equipping, and how we think that we use these tools in the different work packages. I think I'm at the end of my time, so I would like to thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Erika, for the interesting presentation and talking us through the ethics and research integrity. You have an impressive, you can say, a multi-pronged and systemic approach to the whole research ecosystem. So I wish you the success in this project. Actually, very much needed in the research community. I feel both integrate research misconduct and integrity issues. So now I would introduce, and we have around 45 minutes left for the presentations, like not presentation for the entire workshop duration. So I would now introduce Signe Menjiska. She will be presenting the ROSiE project. She is an associate professor in bioethics at the University of Latvia, Faculty of Medicine. She holds a PhD in sociology and BSc in bioethics, and is teaching medical ethics, bioethics, and research ethics for more than 2 decades. She's serving as a member of the UNESCO International Bioethics Community and was the vice chair from 2017 to 2021. She's one of the LC experts for the European Research Infrastructure of Biobanking, BBMRI ERIC. She serves as an ethics expert for the European Commission and is a member of several national institutional research ethics committee in Latvia. Signe also has served as a research ethics trainer in several international research ethics training programs organized by UNESCO, World Health Organization, and National Institute of Health. Currently, she is a work package leader in Horizon Europe projects ROSiE, Beyond, Family, and hence Erika, she could plug in the advert for Beyond. Her scientific interests include biomedical research ethics, ethics of genomic, rational use of medicine, ethics of biobanking, and reproductive ethics. Signe will be introducing the ROSiE project, its main results, and will share the training materials developed in the project, and also share the general guidelines on responsible open science. Over to you, Signe.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your very nice introduction. And indeed, my task today is to present ROSiE project, which is approaching the end of the project. The ROSiE project will end in February 2024. So we have done a lot of work already, and I'm happy to present some of our results or upcoming results. So here you see the consortium, and the consortium is led by University of Oslo. Rose Barnaby is the leader of this project, like in Beyond project, but we have also other universities like Tartu, University of Latvia, and then universities from Portuguese and also some organizations like European Citizen Science Association, and also EUREC is involved. So it's quite a broad consortium. So what is ROSiE about, and what you can find if you look at ROSiE webpage? So ROSiE is about ethical issues and research integrity issues raised by open science movement. And if you wonder what might be ethical issues or research integrity issues involved in open science, then I can show some examples. But of course, there are many sides or aspects of these issues. So first, it's a question about equity, and one thing is that, as it's written here, most powerful players have most to gain in open science in terms of access to data and open science tools. And during the ROSiE project, we have closely collaborated with representatives of low and middle income countries, and it's very visible that the benefits of open science currently are mostly for more developed countries. Even in Europe, we see that there are countries which really benefit and have technical means and infrastructures for open science, and then there are countries which are less developed in that sense. Of course, when we think about ethics, integrity, and open science, there are questions about privacy, intellectual property, and data protection. And just imagine that data mining and requirements of open science to make data accessible could increase the risk of breaching the privacy of even anonymized research participants. If we have big data available, and if there are different means to connect this data, then at one point we see problems raised by options of re-identification of research participants. For example, I'm from a field closely connected to field of biomedicine, and in biomedicine this is really an issue, how to evaluate risks of re-identification. But it's not only biomedicine, also other fields of science are using big data, and it might lead to re-identification. Then, of course, risks of proliferation, manipulation, and hoarding of personal data, or IP issues which arise in this context. Then emergence of fake science, because it's not only scientists who use open data, it might be also someone who would like to develop fake science. And I will speak later about the collection of case studies we have developed for trainings. And among these case studies, we have cases debating requests for data by organizations which are anti-climate change, etc. And there are ethical issues how to deal with such use of data or requests of data. So some questions just to give you more food for thought. What is ROSiE dealing with? So we can think about new risks for research participants in the open science framework. And we, again, in the case collection, we have several cases showing how publishing in open access might question privacy of research participants. We have one case about publishing medical case study in open access, where there is informed consent, but then only after publication the parents of the child whose case study it is, they discover what it means to be published in open access, and they change their mind, and that's one of the retracted articles afterwards. So it seems that that something was wrong with informed consent process. Do we know how to inform about open access publications and how to do it properly? New risks for animals, plants, ecosystems, etc. So it's all about, for example, nature data collection, where it's amazing what citizen science is doing, and how much and how good data we can collect. But then there are questions about protecting of rare plants or rare animals. If we put all data in open access with GPS available, then people might go there and look for the places and disturb animals, plants, or ecosystems. So how to decide which data should be in open access and which should not be there, and who should do it. ethics committees, are ethics committees equipped well, or do they have expertise to evaluate open science aspects? Seems that not really enough. What are the challenges for publication ethics? And we see, of course, connections between rise of open science and predatory publishing, not direct connection, of course, but it's a bad side effect of open science. And how to address inequities and potential of exploitation in open science, including citizen science. So what we have done to address these problems in the ROSiE project, first, our aim was to provide guidance and tools related to research ethics, research integrity, legal, ethical, and social implications and challenges inherent in open science, thereby facilitating the integration of research ethics and research integrity as a structural component of open science in Europe. So our job was to ensure that ethical reflection becomes a very strong part of open science practice. These are the aims or keywords you can find on our webpage. Those are explore. So we did a systematic inventory of research ethics, research integrity, social and legal implications and challenges of open science. Then engage, consultation and stakeholder engagement we also have done, guide, promoting responsible open science by developing operational guidelines for relevant stakeholders, and I will show you what we have done in that part, and equip. And that's our knowledge hub and training materials as equipment for open science practitioners. So one of the parts, as I said, is this this guidance, and here our main deliverables, and you can find those deliverables on our webpage, are a strategic policy paper on responsible open science. Then there is complement to the European Code of Conduct for Research Integrity on open science and ethics, which for ECOC, and not ready yet, but it's one of our deliverables before the end of the project, discipline-related guidelines on open science and research ethics and integrity. So we are working on specific guidelines for social sciences, for humanities, for natural sciences, etc. Strategic policy paper, as I said, you can find and read it. It identifies gaps, barriers, and includes recommendations for responsible open science in different areas: open access, open data, open reproducible research, open science evaluation, policies, tools, and training. Then complement to the ECOC, both general and discipline specific. As I said, the general is ready and available, discipline specific will come soon. It provides guidance on different areas like research environment, research participant protection, protection of environment, ecosystems, and cultural heritage, open and reproducible research, publications, researcher evaluation, which I didn't mention before, but as you can imagine, the questions how to include open science in a researcher evaluation, how to change the culture of evaluation, that's a huge question. And we give some ideas in this guidance in supplement to ECOC: infrastructures, new technologies, and inclusivity. So regarding Knowledge Hub, it's in the last phase of review. It will be available soon, and you will. It's how it will look, and you can see objectives here. It will map and examine research integrity and epistemic, disciplinary, and citizen science dimensions. There will be different materials available. There will be conceptual framework and also different initiatives and policies available. So there will be knowledge hub on open science and ethics and integrity available. And then I'm leading the work package in ROSiE, which develops training materials. It's work package 7. And actually, we ended up with 3 types of training materials, so-called traditional training materials. I will explain what we mean by that. Then online training materials for NRI classroom. I don't know whether you know what NRI classroom is, but I will show you just in case. And then there will be also MOOC. So traditional training materials and online training materials, we have done piloting phase, and we are finalizing the online materials in every classroom. We have already traditional training materials ready, and they will be available in the Knowledge Hub as soon as Knowledge Hub will be available. So according to our timeline, all these materials should be available at the end of December this year, so in a month. Regarding MOOC, it wasn't planned at the beginning that we will have MOOC, but we have developed a lot of very useful material, and now we also have done the video shooting especially for MOOC. And we will develop MOOC next year, finalize the development of MOOC. And we are aiming at publishing this MOOC in European Commission learning portal. There is a portal for MOOCs in European Commission. So, but it will be available later. So when we speak about training materials, we started with development of didactic framework, where we identified skills and attitudes which are necessary for responsible practicing of open science. And we have 4 groups of skills and attitudes. First is local and global citizenship. The second is personal and social responsibility. Then there are epistemic skills like ability to organize, present, and use open data and knowledge, etc. And then, of course, in all this process, collaborative problem solving is very important, and we aim to develop also that. If we speak about training materials, in the center of training materials, there is collection of case studies. We have collected different cases from different sources with ethical problems in open science, and then we have developed these traditional training materials, including material for trainers, and then there are handouts, printouts, readings for trainees. So you can take this material for trainers, for example, in social sciences, and you have 8 topics with all the necessary materials. You can go to the classroom and teach these topics. You can see not the whole, we have 8 topics for each field of science, and also for citizen scientists. Here you see 5, but you can get an impression. You see there are 8 units. 5 visible here. It starts with ethical and societal foundations of open science and its purpose. Then there is protection of research participants, ethical aspects of citizen science, protection of intellectual property, quality of research outputs, and data sets, etc., etc. So, and then NRI classroom part, I don't know whether you know, but NRI classroom has moved very recently. It's in a new address. This is the new address of NRI classroom, and many of you might know the previous content of NRI classroom, which is developed by an RE project, but you don't see it yet. But from my side, I can see already part, this new part added here up where there are research ethics, overlapping issues, and developing infrastructures. There is also responsible open science already added, and actually it will have the similar structure. There will be learning objectives and introduction, key issues, tests, case studies, and resources. And this is something which can be used for self-guided learning. So you can just go through the materials, but at the same time, we are now adding the instructions to the trainer material, to the traditional material, how the trainers can also use these materials which are available at in every classroom, also for classroom teaching. You can, for example, ask your students to do something at home between your training sessions. And actually, I said we have case study, collection of case studies. There are 32 case studies in that collection, written cases, but 6 of those we have also animated. And you can see there are several cases you see in this picture. So we try to be very attractive, and we try to be interactive, and hopefully this will be very useful material. Let's see how it will work later. That's it from my side, and I'm open for questions, or maybe we can take questions later also.
Thank you, Signe, for the very interesting presentation, and also the huge amount of training materials that you develop in the project. I was involved, not involved, you can say I was involved in an earlier cross-soft stakeholder forum. And yes, your case collection is really impressive. And so I hope more and more people can start accessing the ROSiE's resources. So I will now introduce, we have around, you can say, 25 minutes to the end of the session. So we have VERITY. It's not that I had any favorite of projects. It was just that we arranged it alphabetically, and later realized after I got the CVs that it would VERITY at the last would prove a very good segue to the discussion session, because it talks about trust in science, basically, which we can see about the COVID, how it's continued vaccination skepticism is ongoing. So Jabor Suji will be presenting, will take the lead in the presentation. Pamela is also here from ZSI, and she will support him wherever needed. And I will introduce them both. Jabor obtained a PhD in economic policy at the Social Development and Labor Department of the University of Economics in Bratislava, Slovak Republic in 2016. His research focuses on socially innovative solutions in education and other public services, connected to a better understanding of responsible research, innovation, and open science. Prior to starting at ZSI, located in Vienna, which you all know, he worked as a project manager in his home country, Hungary, at the Environment and Water Management Research Institute, VITUKI, and worked as a desk officer for the National Research and Technology Office, administrating various Eureka, Eurostars, and various FP7 and Horizon Europe project. Pamela has studied communication sciences at the University of Vienna and completed a postgraduate program at the Institute of Cultural Management and Cultural Studies at the University of Music and Performing Arts, Vienna. She started at ZSI in 2009, where she became responsible for corporate communications. I know what a challenging job it could be. She is a member of the OGC Austrian Journalists Club. Her focus is on participation, a participatory approach to enable collective intelligence, collaborative knowledge production, co-creation, and role of journalists, including digital influences in the ecosystems of trust. She has several years of experience as a moderator and presenter at various large-scale events, as well as in developing discussion technique, group dynamics, and workshop design. So I will now give the platform to Jabor.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me good? So, yes, thank you. I would like to share, Indrani, please share the slides. It would be easier for me this way. And thank you very much again for inviting us, and also for the nice presentation for both of us. And as you mentioned, VERITY is a project which is also a bit after its first year. So we are just going towards the first results. And the topic of which is trust in science. So it's a bit, I would say, more diverse topics that we are dealing here than just open science and research ethics and research integrity. But I would like to showcase that that how do these topics are really intertwined, connected with our overall topic of trust in science. Thank you. So this is the first slide, which I just wanted to say that why VERITY, why we started with this project at all. So as I said, we are just after the first year. So the idea of it and the writing of the proposal was just in the highest peak of COVID-19 times in 2020. And we were heavily also building up a predecessor project, which was Tresca, which also did trust in science. And there was that main question in our mindset, all the participating partners, that you can see that statistically, if you are checking the Eurobarometer data and also the more global data surveys, people in most of the countries do trust science. So there is an overwhelming majority of people when they are asked about this, and we have discussed this in the previous presentation of Erica, that it was also, of course, so everybody says it, that they do trust science. This is the self-evaluation, but still we saw it in COVID-19 that some people, and it could have been really quite vocal minorities in some countries, do not want to follow science-based recommendations. So why is it that? Why is this that still this overall trust in science, but still we are facing this problem that people are ignoring or going against science-based recommendations? And here we could also hear already in the previous presentation some examples that why it can be, for example, this fake science that was mentioned in the ROSiE project, or also that Beyond project is very interesting that that we are always focusing on these bad apples, but not the systematic problems in the functioning of research performing and research funding organizations concerning ethical behavior and research ethics. So this can be something that people are seeing, that there are systematic problems with scientific organizations and scientists, the work of them, and that's why they tend not to follow these science-based recommendations. Yeah, the next slide, please. Okay, the next. Okay, sorry. So you can make it. So these are the reasons that we found. 4 reasons. Thank you. 4 reasons are here that we build upon initially. That what are these reasons that you can see that that the whole, so to say, the whole system around which we are basing our scientific endeavors are changing. We are going from an information age towards a so-called reputation age, which means that information has only value if it's already filtered, evaluated, or commented upon others. And we can see this also by studies that younger people are more likely to believe in misinformation or false information if they feel a sense of shared identity with the person who shared this information in the first place. So this is what we call reputation age. The trust is based on this shared identity, and the authority is shifted to these people, these influential people who are sharing this information. And this led to one of the first novel things in the VERITY project, which is that we try to understand the role of these influential people in terms of sharing information and thus influencing trust in science and scientific information. And as I said, this, I think it's we thought, and it's statistically proven that it's also connected to eroding trust in scientific institutions because of this fake news, fake scientific news proliferation, and also the not so understandable ways how scientists and scientific organizations are working. And we can see that this leads to to a paradigm shift, that from institutional trust we are moving towards a new form of distributed trust, where more stakeholders have a say in trust in science. And that's why we based our research on 3 main questions. What information people tend to trust, whom, so what stakeholders people trust when they are, so to say, consuming scientific information, and how this trust is built upon in a so-called ecosystem of trust. So next slide, please. Yes, so this is the objective that we are gearing towards. We are starting to work on this really in 2024. We would like to develop a so-called protocol, which is simply a set of recommendations for the most relevant stakeholders, aimed at the most relevant stakeholders. with specific hints how to address societal mistrust and skepticism in not just in the whole scientific ecosystem, but also in scientists and scientific institutions. And how do we reach there? That's the next slide, please. Yes, so this is our methodological approach. And I think this is already something that is can be interesting also for other projects, for example, the ROSiE and Beyond project. So first of all, of course, we started with the stock taking of existing evidence, and then analyzing this existing evidence. This is the state-of-the-art solution mapping that the other two projects were also engaged in, as far as I see today. And we already made an analysis of almost 60 EU-funded projects, plus 42 peer-reviewed articles, this, through a systematic literature review, and also analyze Eurobarometer data to understand exactly what kind of scientific information people are digesting and from whom. So going back to our research question. We are engaged in a social network analysis. Also this X, which used to be Twitter. We are having the first results of it at the end of the year, which I think also can be very interesting. And we are not just doing the state-of-the-art mapping, but also we would like to assess and validate the potential factors that can affect societal trust in science. And here we are using a variety of participatory approaches. And as set aside with Pamela, we are leading this work package 3, which is all about these participatory approaches to categorize and validate those methods that might have an effect in addressing mistrust in science. We are just ending the process of focus groups, multi-stakeholder focus group asking about these factors. And we would like to start very soon with a vignette study. And in the next year, we would have, after the protocol, the set of recommendations are finalized, a citizen media lab experiment where we want to bring in a citizen perspective to ask them how do they see this functioning of social trust from their side. So who do they trust, what do they trust, and in what relationship can the different stakeholders work together in enhancing trust. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this I tried to put together like these are puzzles. So this is our approach. And this is the novelty, I think, of our VERITY project in comparison to the previous projects that were dealing with trust in science and research integrity and ethics, that we have a so-called ecosystematic approach, which means that we would like to either inform or understand or engage all different types of participants, stakeholders in this ecosystem of trust. So like I said, not just the usual suspect that were until now engaged in such projects are research performing and research funding organizations, but also a broader group of people. And then the second we would like to do is to participatory approaches, to co-creation methods. And the last slide, I would like to talk a bit about these 5 machines of trust, which we think are the most important factors affecting trust in science. So the ecosystematic approach means 2 new terms that we are using in this project. The first is this so-called stewardship of trust, which I said it's all about this going forward to this reputational age, that there are organizations that are responsible for guiding societal trust in science, and their responsibility is emanating either from their official mandate or mission, which is an easier case, of course. This can be, of course, policymakers or research performing organizations, or from the de facto power. So this is what we see, for example, digital influencers or social media companies. What are their roles? What are the responsibilities in societal trust in science? This is, I think, one of a core question for the future, that we understand how do they work and how does this have direct and indirect influence on trust in science. And this is related to the is where this societal trust is constructed, enhanced, or reduced, and where I think very much science society co-creation, open science solutions can also be looked at. Okay, the next slide, please. So this is the co-creation. I don't want to go into this, but please just make it so. This is what I said. This is our method. So that our assumption was that if citizens become more involved, then in our activities, and of course they will trust the results more. So this is related to of course open science, that also that they understand it, that what we are doing, how scientific methods are operating, and how they can be involved here. We would like to have to give them as big role as possible. So they should be active participants in our focus groups, in our vignettes, and in our citizen media lab. And what is one of the major factors that I think in the other project wasn't so relevant, it's science communication. That mistrust in science can be an issue of communication, and that's why we should also try to enhance the efficiency and effectivity of communication. And this communication should happen on high consensus, fully taking into account ethical implications, and not one-sided messaging, but of course like a real dialogue with all the stakeholders. So, and the next slide, and please just, yes, thank you. Okay, super. This is these 5 machines, which I would say that is the 5 factors of trust, how we can look at it and how we can try to bring it in. And along these 5 factors, we are working upon in our co-creation methods. And you can see that, like I said, a very big part is science communication, but we also are working here with research ethics and research integrity. That what are those measures, what are those approaches that can help us research ethics and integrity in addressing mistrust in science. And I think that also goes back to, for me, to this very interesting work in Beyond Bad Apples, that we should here also work in a more systematic way and not just singling out bad apples, but also think that what are those systematic problems that we can solve and how we can solve it to guideline standards or self-regulation, and not just in research performing organizations, but for example, what can we do for journalists here, or what can we do for digital influencers? So of course they are not having the day-to-day work with research ethics, but maybe there can be some cooperation with them with research performing organizations, or they can also follow some self-regulating guidelines. And the other 2 is technology assessment, which is, I think, very getting growing in importance because of AI and regenerative artificial intelligence, ChatGPT. So this also have lots of ethical and science communication issues, which I think will be a question of the next decade. And the last but not least is benefit sharing, which is very much related to open science and how we can share the benefit scientific activities and scientific results with all the stakeholders. Because if they feel that they are not, they don't understand research methods and they don't feel that what is the benefit for them, then they, of course, their trust won't be high in such scientific activities. So these are the 5 factors that we are working together. And last but not least, I just wanted to showcase that this is our consortium. I think there are some usual suspects here too. We have UREC on board, and also the University of Central Lancashire that are also part of Beyond Bad Apples. We have the University of West Attica with us performing right now the social network analysis. We have Science Business from Brussels, who have a very good working relationship with journalists. And last but not least, we have the coordinator organization from Ireland, Trilateral Research, and our organization, the Center for Social Innovation, mainly responsible, as I said, for World Package 3, which is the co-creation methods. And we are still going strong until August 2025. So thank you very much for having me. And this was short in the project presentation for VERITY. And if you have any more questions, we are available here on the website and on the email address.
Thank you, Gaba, for the very interesting presentation. I'm sure we'll have a lot to learn from the results of the VERITY project. Looking forward to them. We are running around 20 minutes late. I sincerely hope you all can stay back a few extra minutes to take the questions from the participants. I now invite Dr. Adam Granstetter-Kunz from the European Science Foundation to facilitate the question and answer session. Since our aim is to have a free-flowing discussion that supports mutual exposure of views and experiences, we'll stop the recording now. Our heartfelt thanks to all the speakers for the very informative presentation.